Welcome to Lesson 3 of Operations on Decimals, Plus, Minus and Times. The usual reminder, especially number 4, tip for saving data, take screenshots so you don't have to download the video again at a later stage, especially for GDE corrections. And number 6, please check the description box after the video for any mistakes I may have made in the video. Let us begin. It's easy to write fractions as decimals when the denominator is already 10, 100 or 1000. Example 1. 3 tenths is 0,3. 3 over 100, 3 hundredths is 0,03. 3 thousandths is 0,003. Now what if the denominator is not 10, 100 or 1000? Then we round up the denominator to the nearest 10, 100 or 1000. Let's do some examples. Number 1. If we have 2/5, we must round up the denominator to 10, and we do that by multiplying the denominator by 2. What we do to the bottom, we do to the top. 5 times 2 is 10, 2 times 2 is 4. 4 tenths, 0,4. Number 2, if we have 3/20ths, we must round up the denominator to 100, and we do that by multiplying the denominator by 5. What we do to the bottom, we do to the top. 20 times 5 is 100, 3 times 5 is 15. 15 hundredths is 0,15. Number 3, if we have 8 200ths, we must round up the denominator to 1000. We do that by multiplying the denominator by 5. What we do to the bottom, we do to the top. 8 times 5, 40. 200 times 5, 1000. 40 thousandths is 0,040. Activity 1. If you like, pause the video and go through last video's lesson. Activity 1. Write the following fractions as decimal fractions. First, copy the question, change the denominator, and then write the answer. For example, copy the question, change the denominator, and then get your answer as a decimal. Just a hint at G. 3/4 is a famous decimal fraction. If you do not remember it, then convert the denominator to 100 and not 10. Why not 10? Because we cannot create 4 into a 10 by multiplication. It has to be 100. Right. Pause the video, complete activity 1, and corrections are on their way. Tick what is correct, mark what is wrong, give yourself a mark out of 8. Right, next, activity 2 is a decimal quiz. You need to fill in the missing decimals by copying and completing the diagram. A, you are counting in 0,5 starting at 0. B, you're counting in 500 starting at 0,5. Pause the video, complete activity 2. Decimal quiz corrections are as follows. Each answer is 1 mark. Please give yourself a mark out of 18. Right, next we're looking at placing decimals on a number line. Approximately. Where do you think these numbers will be on this number line? I've used the word approximately, which means not exactly, but where do you think the best place for these numbers will be? Let's look at A. 2 wholes and 5 tenths. 2 wholes will definitely be there. And if we're dealing with tenths, imagine that this line in between 2 and 3 has been chopped up into 10 pieces. 5 will be in the middle, so the 5th piece or the 5th tenth will be over there. So 2 and 5 tenths will be roughly over there. Question B, 5 wholes and 1 tenth. We go to 5 wholes over there. If this were chopped up into 10 pieces, the first tenth would be roughly just after the 5 line. And question C, 8 wholes and 9 tenths, 8 wholes over there. They were chopped up into 10 pieces. The 9th piece would be just before the 9th line. So the answer would be over there. Right. Activity 3. First copy the number line and then place the number in the correct place using a dot. And then place the letter above the dot. So for example, A, place A where you think the correct place will be and put an A above the dot. Pause the video, complete activity 3. Activity 3 corrections are as follows. Please fix what is wrong, mark what's right. That's a mark out of 5. Right, let's look at adding decimals. This is really easy because the same rules apply as with whole numbers. You actually know how to do this already. We are going to add the like place values by lining them up. Example 1, 56,39 plus 18,61. The first thing we're going to do is line up the decimals, and we do that by lining up the place values. Very important. So we first line up the hundreds, the tenths, then the units, then the tenths. And as usual, you add numbers like we normally do. So let's do this one together. 9 hundredths plus 100th is 10. We carry the 1, put down the 0. 1 tenth plus 3 tenths plus 6 tenths is 10 tenths. We carry the 1, we put down the 0. Then, very important, we must keep our decimals in line and we bring down the decimal. If you do not bring down the decimal, your answer will be wrong. Let's add the units. 8 plus 6 plus 1 unit will be 15. You carry the 1, put down the 5. Add the tenths. 5 plus 1 is 7. Your answer is 75,00. Example number 2. 12,6 plus 4 plus 0,24 plus 100. The first thing we do is write down our answers and we line up the decimals. But now you will notice for 12,6 they've added in a 0. Wherever there are spaces after the decimal, we need to add in zeros. It's called filling up spaces. Right, so every space needs to have a 0 in it when you add. Very, very important. So let's start adding the hundredths. 0 plus 0 plus 4 plus 0 is 4. 6 plus 0 plus 2 plus 0 is 8. 2 plus 4 plus 0 plus 0 is 6. And before we go on any further, make sure that you have brought down your decimal spots. If you don't, it is wrong. Let's carry on with the tens. 1 plus 0 is 1, and 1 plus nothing is nothing. Your answer is 116,84. Good. Please complete activity 4 by using the column method that you've just learned to add the decimal fractions. Remember the two rules I've just taught you. Number 1, fill up decimal places with 0 and fill in the decimal point into your answer, otherwise your answer will be wrong. Please pause the video, complete activity 4. Right, activity 4 corrections are as follows. Please fix your mistakes and tick what is correct. Give yourself a mark out of 6. Moving along, subtraction of decimals. Exactly the same except using subtraction. The same rules apply as with whole numbers. We are going to be subtracting like place values. Let's look at example number 1. 8,97 minus 2,82. The first thing we do is line up the decimal points by lining up our numbers in their place values. So we start with the hundredths, tenths, and the units. Now we subtract as usual. 7 hundredths minus 2 hundredths is 5. 9 minus 8 is 1. We bring down our decimal or our answer is going to be wrong. Our units, 8 minus 2 is 6 and our answer is 6,15. Example number 2. 13,75 minus 5,5. First things first, line up our decimals by putting our place values all in a row. Hundredths, tens, units, and tenths. We do not have a 0 at the end of our 5 in the hundred spot, so we need to add a 0 in there. Once we have got that, we subtract like we normally do. So 5 hundredths minus 0 hundredths is 5. 7 tenths minus 5 tenths is 2. 3 units minus 5 units cannot be done, so we go next door, we borrow one more. 3 becomes 13, minus 5 is 8. Your answer is 8,25. Right, activity 5. You're going to use the column method you've just learned to subtract the following decimal fractions. And remember 2 things. Fill up the decimal places with zeros if they aren't there. And number 2, fill in the decimal point into your answer or it is going to be wrong. Please pause the video and complete this activity. Activity 5 corrections. Fix what's wrong. Tick what is correct. Give yourself a mark out of 4. Right, let's look at multiplying decimal fractions. The example is 0,2 times 10. So 0,2 is there on this number line. And if I ask for 0,2 times 10, that means I'm asking for 10 0,2s to make it 10 times bigger. So I need 10 of these pieces. So 10,2, I beg your pardon, 0,2 times 10. If you count, there are 10 pieces. And 10 times 0,2 is 2. However, there is a trick to working this out without a number line. When we multiply a number by 10, we make the number bigger by one place value. So if we have 0,2 and we make 2 bigger by one place value, we move the 2 into a bigger place, which is the units. So 0,2 times 10 will become 2. Or we move the comma once to make it one place value bigger. So 0,2, we take its comma and we put it on the other side of the 2, and that will give us 0, I beg your pardon, 2,0 or 2 wholes. Let's look at another example. 0,5 times 100. So 0,5, we are going to need 100 of these pieces to make it 100 times bigger. Let's use that trick again. When we multiply a number by 100, we make it 100 times bigger by 2 place values. So 0,5, we move the 5 2 place values, so we make it bigger. So we move it to the units once, we move it to the tens twice. 5 tens is 50. So 0,5 times 100 is 50. Or we can move the comma forwards twice to make it 2 place values bigger. So here is the comma, we move it past the tens, past the hundreds, and therefore it will give us 50,0 or 50 wholes. Good, let's look at patterns. This table is in your GDE book on page 158. Please pause this video and see if you can spot the patterns in this table. Right, let's see what patterns there are. You will notice that any number multiplied by 1 stays exactly the same. You will notice that any number multiplied by 10 gets bigger by 1 place value, or by 10 times. You will also notice that any number multiplied by 100 becomes 100 times bigger, or gets bigger by 2 place values. For activity 6, I'd like you to please complete pages 158 and 159 in your GDE book. Please pause the video and complete those 2 pages. Corrections for those 2 pages are as follows. Let us look at activity 7. Calculate the following using the 3-step method. Now this is a problem. Mr. Williams is a builder. He buys a special type of brick at R2.88 per brick. Calculate how much Mr. Williams will pay for each of the following. A. If he has to buy 10 bricks, how much would that cost him? And B. If he had to buy 100 bricks, how much would that cost him? So remember, your 3 steps is your question sentence, your calculation, and your answer sentence. Please pause this video and work out A and B. Right, there are your corrections. Each step is worth 1 mark. There are 2 sums, so that's 6 marks. Right, your GDE homework, because you've got 3 days to complete this, there are quite a few pages, but I'll know you'll manage. Complete the pages and then I will give you the corrections to follow. But please make sure that you complete the pages before I give you the corrections, and remember, take screenshots of all the GDE pages so you don't have to re-download this video. To follow are the corrections. And that is it for today. I will see you guys on Monday. I hope you have an awesome weekend.